Welcome back for another preview and predictions video. The team that we're going to be looking over today is none other than our 2024 Georgia Bulldogs football team. The number one team in the country according to the latest rankings. This team, a lot of people have them predicted to make the national championship and win the national championship. We are going to completely preview this roster, break down who they lost from last year's squad, but also who they're going to be bringing in for the 2024 squad. Right, and we are also going to look over their entire 2024 football schedule, going game by game, seeing which games we think they're going to win, lose, and what we predict their final record will be. We're down to our final week. One more week till kickoff. Georgia's ready to start their national championship run to the playoffs. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below, and I will make sure to respond to all of them. So our 2024 Georgia Bulldogs. Obviously, there's no need to have to introduce this team. This is one of the best top-to-bottom rosters in all of college football. According to ESPN, this is the number one best roster in college football right now. This team is loaded with 4- and 5-star players at every single position. They did lose a lot of talent to the draft, Bowers, McConkey. But when your roster is this talented, it's basically next guy up to fill those positions, and they have the talent there. Carson Beck came up. He was 50 yards shy of throwing for 4,000 yards this past season. He's probably going to get that 4,000 yards this season. They're definitely going to air it out a lot more. They're going to go running back by a committee. Vegas has them coming in at 10.5 wins right now. I don't think anyone's doubting Georgia making the college football playoff. Basically, the only question that everyone has is, what's their ceiling this year? Is it getting back to a national championship? It's definitely getting into playoffs. Is it winning the SEC still? Because Georgia doesn't need to win the SEC to make the playoffs to me. If they go 10-2, 11-1, they're still getting in the playoffs. You're not going to be able to hold them out. This is an elite roster. They are loaded. Them and Ohio State keep swapping positions back and forth to who is number one in the early AP poll. It really doesn't matter. It's one or two that are up there at the very top. They're going to make the playoffs. Are they going to win the SEC? This team finished top 10 in both offense and defense last year. A very well-rounded team. They're physical at both lines of scrimmage. They can run and they can throw. Kirby Smart is back at the helm. Carson Beck at quarterback. And he's going into this year with some major Heisman hype right now. A lot of betting sites have him either 1 or number 2 going into the season. The wide receiver core has a lot of promising names. You love it. Smith. And you have the Miami transfer, Colby Young. The running back, NTN, the one who transferred over from the Florida Gators, he's probably going to be your starting runner back this season, but he adds a dimension to the running game that Georgia just did not have last season. The offensive line has 4 starters returning. That is huge. That's going to help Beck find those new targets. That's also going to help NTN in the running game, opening up some lanes. The defense has obviously never in any way been a question mark under Kirby Smart. You have Stackhouse, Brandon, Williams, London Jr., Walker, Allen, Wilson, Robinson, Bolden. It's loaded with future NFL draft picks. Now, the secondary is replacing some starters, but this team has recruited and worked the portal at the highest level. The next guys will be there to step up. This is obviously going to be another top 10 defense again every single season. But let's take a look at their schedule. Let's see what we have. So they actually have a pretty tough schedule this year. The SEC did get more difficult because you added in Texas, you added in Oklahoma. Georgia kicked things off Saturday, August 31st versus Clemson. This is going to be at a neutral site. This is actually a really tough game one because these teams are going to be a little rusty. You have Clemson. They have issues of their own. Now, they're going to be bringing in a top 10 defense. They had a top 10 defense last year. They're going to have a top 10 defense this year. You have Cade Klubnik coming back. You have Moffa at running back. You have Garrett Riley another year in the system. A lot of people knocking Dabo because he's not working the portal. The biggest question with Clemson is their offense still going to be hovering in that 50 to 60th area, or is it finally going to step up and start moving up, into the 30s, to the top 20s? If they do, they're going to be a definitely hard team to beat. I think their defense will be able to keep this game close, but I still have Georgia getting the win here. I have Georgia winning versus Clemson in a very close game, 27-20, and Georgia is 1-0. Then Saturday, September 7th versus Tennessee Tech. This is obviously going to blow out. Georgia's going to steamroll them. Let's put it at 62-3, and they're 2-0. After that, Saturday, September 14th, we're starting to get into SEC play. We have at Kentucky. Kentucky's going to have a new quarterback. They're going to be going with more of an air raid type of offense this season. They're going to be airing it out. They have a good running game. They have good lines on both sides of the ball. Always have a good defense under Mark Stoops. He's going to be able to keep the game respectable first half, but they're going to get wore out the second half. Look for Georgia to win this one. Let's put it at a 33-17. Georgia's 3-0. After that, Saturday, September 28th at Alabama. This is a massive game. Obviously, Nick Saban has retired. Kalen Deboer, though, he's not much of a step back. He's a great coach. He's going to succeed easily at Alabama. You still have Milroe there as the quarterback. He's going to light it up with him. They're going to be going vertical a lot. They're also going to have a top 10 offense. They're probably going to have a top 15 or top 20 defense. The team is also loaded, one of the top 3 rosters, according to ESPN. Look for this game to somewhat be more of a shootout as both offenses kind of take control and whoever potentially has possession at the end of the fourth quarter wins. And it is in Tuscaloosa, but I have Georgia continuing to roll. They're going to get the win here. Let's put it at a 33-30 game. And Georgia's 4-0. After that, Saturday, October 5th versus Auburn. Auburn under Hugh Freeze. You have Peyton Thorne back. You have a lot of wide receivers coming over from the portal. Hugh Freeze can work the portal. He can recruit. There's going to be a 7 or 8 win Auburn team. They're gradually getting better, but Georgia's just the better team right now. They're going to beat them. I'm going to say a 38-20 game. And Georgia's 5-0. After that, Saturday, October 12th versus Mississippi State. Jeff Lebby's at the helm now there, completely flipping the roster. Massive talent gap. Georgia's going to continue to cruise here. They're going to beat them. Let's put it at a 45-15 game. And they're 6-0. After that, October 19th at Texas. This is a massive game going to Austin. Texas lost some major pieces last year on the D-line. They also lost Mitchell. They lost Worthy, but they've recruited and been working the portal. Quinn Ewers is back. Behind him is Manning. Very talented team. I think Texas is going to be really hard to beat at Texas. They're going to come into the SEC with a mission. I actually have them beating Georgia. I don't know if Georgia is going to be favored at this time or if Texas will be favored because this is probably going to be a top 5 matchup. Both teams will be top 5. It will be the game day game. Probably one of the best top 3 games of the entire season. I have Texas winning this one at home in a close one, 27-24. Georgia's now 6-1. After that, versus Florida, they're going to want revenge after losing to Texas. They're going to take it out on the Florida Gators. Billy Napier has the most difficult schedule I've ever seen in my life. They're probably going to get curb stomped this game. Look for Georgia to win here. Let's put it at a 47-17 game, and Georgia's 7-1. After that, Saturday, November 9th at Ole Miss. This is a really improved Ole Miss team. They also have playoff aspirations. You have Lane Kiffin. They have the number 1 transfer portal class. You have Jackson Dart back. He's also getting some Heisman hype. But Georgia's going to beat them. Not as bad as last year, but they will beat them. It's going to be a 40-24 game. Georgia is at 8-1. And then Saturday, November 16th versus Tennessee. Tennessee is also a really good team. You have Nico there at quarterback. You have Squirrel White. You have a top 30 offense, top 30 defense. Very rounded team under Heupel. They can make this game competitive, but I have Georgia winning a lower scoring one, 28-21. Georgia is 9-1. Saturday, November 23rd versus Massachusetts. It's going to be a blowout. Put it at a 60-3 game. Georgia is 10-1. Final game of the season, Saturday, November 30th versus Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a pretty competitive team. They actually almost beat Georgia last season. You have King at quarterback. This was an 8 or 9 win team last season. Probably going to win 7 or 8 this season. But Georgia's going to be ready for the playoffs this year. They're not letting what happened last year happen to them this season. They're not getting left out. They're going to steamroll through Georgia Tech. Let's put it at a 38-17 game. I have Georgia finishing this season 11-1, getting back into the SEC championship, potentially rematching with Texas or Bama, but it's probably going to be Georgia versus Texas for the SEC, and it's hard to beat the same team twice, so Georgia might be able to clinch the SEC and get that bye week in the playoffs. Either way, they're getting in the playoffs. So that's our breakdown of our 2024 Georgia Bulldogs team. Go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below and I will respond. Thanks.